Her name is Charlotte Glinka. She is the president of the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys, and we look forward to this presentation. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. And, we come here every year to Medford High School. First of all, good morning, Medford High School.
Good morning.
We come here every year to kick off this campaign because you guys are such a great group, and we so look forward every year to coming to Medford. So thank you for having us. This was all very easy when I was in high school because, first of all, I didn't have a car, but they hadn't invented cell phones when I was in high school. But now I'm a lawyer, and when I first got my cell phone a number of years ago, it sort of became another appendage. I couldn't live without it. But today we're here to talk about maybe putting that cell phone down for a few minutes. So I am the president of MATA, as Mr. Tucci said, Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys, which is an organization of trial lawyers who represent people who have been injured or killed due to negligence. And as trial lawyers, my colleagues who are here with me today and I have seen the really tragic aftermath of motor vehicle crashes, the impact on families, the impact on our clients and their loved ones. And we've come to understand that one of the really sad lessons about some of these crashes is that many, if not most of them, could be prevented. So I want to introduce to you Joel Feldman. Joel is also a trial lawyer with a law firm in Philadelphia. And he and his wife Diane are here today. And Joel and Diane are parents of a daughter, Casey, who tragically was killed by a distracted driver several years ago. And what they have done, what Joel and Diane have done, is taken that very, very sad experience and they have developed a foundation to honor Casey's memory, and from that have developed this End Distracted Driving program. We go to high schools throughout the state. Joel goes to high schools and to groups throughout the country, has spoken to thousands of people about distracted driving and the effect it has on people. So what we want to do today is get all of you thinking and talking to us, talking to each other, talking to your friends, to your family, about what it means to be a safe driver. Joel?
Thank you, Charlotte, and thanks so much. It's great to be back here again. Let me just look around here. Let's see. I haven't met you, have I? I think I know something about you already. If you're like me, you probably don't like it when people tell you what to do, right? My wife's here. Everybody's introduced. My wife is here. I hate it when she tells me what to do. So consequently, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You might think I'll tell you not to text and drive, not to do all this kind of stuff. I'm not telling you what to do. You guys can figure this out for yourself. I also want you to know that when you're in school, I'm out on the road, I'm driving on the road, and I see terrible distracted driving. It's not just a teen problem. Don't think that we're here because we think it's just a teen problem. I'm going to ask you about this in a little while, but I know your moms and dads are driving distracted. I know the teachers in this room are driving distracted. I know the administrators are driving distracted. And I know lots of the trial lawyers are here. We're driving distracted. I think they're now driving safer because they've been doing this program. So that's another part of this. Lastly, you know that my daughter was killed by a distracted driver. And I want you to know that I drove distracted all the time before Casey was killed. I should have known better. I represented lots of families where their loved ones had been injured, lots of families where their loved ones had been killed. I still drove distracted. I can tell you about a case I had, and this is how the dump truck driver would testify. This is how he testified in court. Let me come down so everybody can see it. But one lane in this direction, one lane in the other direction. and how he testified in court. I was holding onto the steering wheel. I saw a really cute girl, hot girl in tight shorts, walking into a 7-Eleven. That's how he testified. He said, "This is what I did." He went across the center line, hit my client's car, and he killed their 4-year-old son. Tragic case, tragic case. But I was checking my emails on the way home because I didn't think it could happen to me. That's what we all have in common. We don't think it can happen to us. So I'm here as a reminder that it can happen to people that we love, but there's also the other side of it. And we'll talk about that as well. The other side. Each and every one of us in this room has the power to take a life, but hopefully we also have the power to save lives, and that's what we'll talk about. So as we go around here, we think of distracted driving. What do you think? What comes to mind when you think of distracted driving? Texting? Facebook, Snapchat? Emails? Okay. Anybody up there? What comes to mind? All these things. I was in Brockton High School. At Brockton High School yesterday, one girl said, "Shaving your legs while you're driving." I'd never heard that one before. But when we're talking about distracted driving, this is the framework that we use. There's manual distractions, holding onto the wheel or not, visual, are you looking at the road, and then there's cognitive distractions. Even if your hands are on the wheel, you're looking straight ahead. If your mind is involved in something else, you can be distracted and it can affect your driving performance. And we'll talk a little bit how the brain works. I'm going to have somebody now play this next video for us. Paul, would you play this one? And then I'll pick just you 3 folks. Just give me a 1-word response, your impression after the video, okay? 3 of you. Thank you. Could be more than 1 word. What do you think? Distracted? Danger?
Irresponsible.
Anybody else have any ideas? Crazy? Why? And this kind of shows all the different types of distractions, the manual, the cognitive, the visual. But these are some of the responses. These are some of the responses that we get as we go around. I mean, scary, crazy, those you hear. What about selfish? Anybody want to take a shot at that? Anybody want to comment about selfish? Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's like driving like a good group of people. I'm gonna give it like at least 5 people in there, and so he's endangering like 5 people who might be on their way, I don't know, to whatever they want to do. And he's, well, maybe I could kill him by, just doing my own thing. He's basically putting his own interests above all the people he's driving.
I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, and every time that I would check a text, I would make a phone call, I'd check my emails as I was driving, it was all about me. It was all selfish, all about me. So that's a picture of our daughter Casey. That was right before her senior prom. And it's really hard, as you can imagine. Well, maybe you can't imagine, but it's really hard. There are just so many reminders of her every single day. That's one of my favorite pictures of her. That was taken right after she graduated high school. She did graduate high school. She went on to college. Actually, it was between Emerson in Boston and Fordham in New York City. And she did pick Fordham, but she really liked Boston. And she was killed between her junior and senior year. That's a picture of her. That's it with our son Brett at his prom. And you know, as a dad, I always thought about the day that Casey would get married. And I always thought about it to think about, walking her down the aisle, having that dance with her, fearing it, but also anticipating it. And that's not going to happen, of course. And I include this picture because this is when Casey was really, really little. And one of our friends had a wedding, and they had Casey in the wedding as a flower girl. And I look back at it, and that's probably it's as close as I'm going to come to being in a wedding with my daughter participating in the wedding. And even now, for 3 or 4 years, Casey was killed in July of 2009. For 3 or 4 years, we wouldn't go to any weddings, but our niece and nephew got married this fall. We had to go. We didn't have to go, but we wanted to go on one part of us. But the other part of us did. It was so painful to see that, to see, the happy bride, that's what Casey won't have. And when I look out in this auditorium, and I look at you guys' faces and all, what I see is I see the future. And I see your future, and I see the promise of the future. I mean, everything is possible for you guys now. Every single thing is possible. And for Casey, that's all gone. And the reason why we're here is we can't bring Casey back us, we can't, but we want you to have everything that you're entitled to. Everything, your dreams, your hope, the good times, the bad times, but we want you all to have that. And that's why your school is so supportive. The whole Medford School District has been so supportive. The trial lawyers, that's what we want for you. We want you to graduate. We want you to go on. If you want to go to college, vocational school, whatever, if you want to get married, have kids, find a career. Anything that you want, that's what we want for you. And that's why we're here today. I think I already talked about this. If you had asked me before Casey was killed, was I a safe driver, I would have said yes. I didn't speed. I didn't get tickets. But I took chances all the time. So it's occurred to me that there's a difference between being a safe driver and being a lucky driver. And today I look back and I was a lucky driver, just a lucky driver. And I was very lucky that I didn't kill someone else's child, because I easily could have. So let's see, if we just took all you guys here, if I had your moms and dads here right now, and I asked them, who are the most important people in the world to them? Who do you think they'd say? Kids, us, that's it. If I asked my wife over there who are the most important people in the world to her, she would say Casey and Brett, and I hope I come a close second, but that's okay. That's okay. And that's the way it is. Yet I drove distracted with my kids in the car. How do you justify that? How can I justify saying that my kids are the most important thing in the world to me, yet I drove distracted with them in the car? You want to take a shot at that? Can you justify that?
I can't justify it. Because you think it's not going to be you. You don't think it's that bad. You don't think it can affect you as it did other people. It's not something you think of like actually hurting them.
Yeah, that's it. You don't think it's going to happen to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my hand because I drove distracted with my kids in the car, and I'm going to ask all of you out there, your moms and dads and grandparents, the people that you love and care about, and the people who love and care about you, drive you around. Raise your hands if those folks drive distracted with you in the car. Keep them up so we can all look around the stage. All right, thank you. So, I appreciate that. So, what do we see from that? We see that moms and dads who love their kids more than anything else in the world are taking chances with it. It's just like this young lady over here said. We don't think anything bad is going to happen. And more often than not, nothing bad does happen, but often things bad happen. Anybody over here, any of you raise your hands for mom or dad? Drive you distracted, yes? Anybody want to talk about mom? Give us tell us what mom's doing.
I don't know, she texts sometimes when we're in the car.
So she texts sometimes when we're in the car. Texting is illegal, right? She does it anyway. I mean, I did it too. Right? And so you're in the car. I know your mom cares about you more than anything in the world. Have you ever talked to her about it? Have you ever said, hey mom, it's dangerous, don't do it?
Well, I'll just take the phone from her and text for her.
Well, that's a great solution. take the phone from her and text her. Everybody's heard about designated drivers, right, for drunk driving. We have designated texters. You can be a designated texter. I'm sure you text a lot better than your mom anyway, right? Okay. All right, so that's something we can do. Anybody, keep it fair. Anybody have a dad story they want to share? We're going to have somebody way over there, okay? A dad story.
Well, my dad's constantly checking his emails and texting and on the phone because, like, he works at home, so he, like, always has to be in contact with people.
So because he's home, he's not in an office around the people he works with. Okay, so he has to, and obviously you've seen it, you're in the car with him. Does he ever get you scared?
Oh, no.
Doesn't get you scared? No, even though he's looking down his phone instead of the road, that doesn't scare you? We'll work on that as we go along, okay? We'll work on that. Anybody else while I'm up here? Yes. Is it mom or dad? Dad?
My dad, usually goes to the car with him, he takes out like this like pile of envelopes and most of his like bills and stuff, and he'll like drive to his knees and like go through his bills. And like it kind of scares me, but like it's like he knows he's doing it, but like it's really don't do it all the time.
All right, so I must admit that I used to eat in the car, and I would traditionally eat yogurt. And how do you eat yogurt unless you steer with your knees like her dad? And I can also tell you that since I stopped doing that, I have a lot less trips to the dry cleaner to take care of my ties. I used to slop my ties up all the time. But these are some of the things that everybody's doing. And again, it's interesting, the two young ladies that I just spoke with, they seem to feel that perhaps they weren't too scared because they thought, the last one said, oh, I think my dad knows what he's doing. Does it matter if you know what you're doing and you can be the safest driver in the world if you're not holding onto the steering wheel? Does it matter if you know what you're doing and you can be the safest driver in the world, or maybe the luckiest driver, and you're looking down at your lap instead of the road? That's what I want you to think about. I can't tell anybody here, as I said, what to do. I want you to think about these things, because how many of you are driving already? A fair number of you. Okay. For each of you who's driving, you have a choice you can make as to the type of driver you want to be. And I'll tell you this right now, and I'm going to say this twice, because it may sound a little weird. You don't have to drive like your moms and dads. For those of you who are not driving, and you're going to be driving, when you start to drive, you don't have to drive like your moms and dads. I know you guys want to be independent. I remember what it was like to be in high school. You know, your moms and dads are telling you what to do. The folks at the school are telling you what to do. You know, the administrators and all, everybody's telling you what to do. You guys can make good decisions for yourself if people will let you. One of those decisions could be considering how you want to drive. As I go around the country, I meet people like me who've lost family members to distracted driving. I also meet the people who are killed through distracted driving. Quite often, when I go to a school, let's say we want you to meet someone. What's your name?
Emma.
So let's say they said, I want you to meet Emma. She was texting and she killed someone. And this happens to me often. I would come here, and it wouldn't be in a big assembly. You know, they'd say in a private meeting, Emma, this is Mr. Feldman. His daughter was killed by a distracted driver. We wanted you to meet him. He's going to be giving a talk at the school. What do you think you might say to me? The father of someone who was killed by a distracted driver, knowing that you killed someone while driving distracted. What do you think you'd say to me?
I'm sorry.
Sorry? Yeah, you probably would. You'd also say something else. And I know you would say it because every single person around the country that I've talked to who's killed someone, they say the same thing. They could be an 11th grader in Massachusetts. They could be a 58-year-old in New Jersey. They could be black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. It's uncanny. They all say the same thing. You would say to me, I never thought I was the type of person who could kill someone through my driving. talked to a guy on the phone from Missouri a couple of days ago, and I knew he was going to tell me that. He did. He was changing the music in his car, and he didn't see a person in front of him and stopped to make a left turn. And the person who'd stopped, a woman, had turned her wheel while she was waiting, and I think if you get driver's ed, you know you're not supposed to do that. Don't turn your wheel before you actually make the turn. He slammed into the rear of her, pushed her in front of a tractor trailer. And he told me on the phone after a little while, I never thought I was the type of person who could kill someone through my driving. Let's just see, what does that sound like to you? Don't you just say that? I never thought I was the type of person who could kill someone through my driving.
I guess that's what everyone thinks. Once it happens, then you really can't go back.
You can't turn back the clock. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody sitting next to a friend of theirs who maybe will text a little bit? You look right at her. Look right at her. Okay. So, this is your friend, right? Until now, anyway, right? Okay. So, you ride with her from time to time, and she'll text a little bit, like I used to, like text at stoplights and stop signs, and occasionally not at stoplights and stop signs. Is that kind of like me? Is that true?
Yes.
So, do you know that you're taking a little bit of a risk while you do it? You don't want to get up here in front of everybody and have a long conversation with you. I can sense that. Okay. But you know it's a little bit of a risk, but you do it anyway. If your friend, right, she's your friend, if you found out one night that when she was driving, she was texting and she ran into a tree and she killed herself, do you think that would keep you from driving and taking chances when you're driving and texting? Probably, but you think you still might after that? You still might text? No. Okay. All right. So, I drove distracted and my daughter was killed. It'd be terrible if the death of someone you cared about was the only reason why you changed the way you drive. And I do this so often, I could just tell when she looked at you. I apologize, but it was so obvious. But did you drive to school today? No. When's the next time you're going to drive? Tonight? A couple of days? You could drive over the next couple of days? No. Over the weekend? No? You're going to be driving again, right? What I want to do is I want to see if, as we go along, if there's anything we've said that'll get you to think twice and to at least commit today that I won't text when I drive. Okay, is that fair enough if I come back to you and leave you alone for now? You want me to leave you alone now? Okay, all right. How about this one? Anybody here ever been scared? But you're nodding your head. You've been scared? Okay, why don't you tell us when it was and who scared you?
So is my aunt. Yeah, so my aunt is like insane. So she's driving and like she's always at text like put music on or text or something, and then like sometimes she'll like ask my sister and me to drive. Like when we sit in the passenger seat and she like let go of the wheel, she like drive, and it's the scariest thing in the world. I'm just like, what are you doing? And like I'm just like, we're all gonna die one day because of you.
So, but when you say this to your aunt, does she change the way she drives? So, I know she cares about you. Why do you think she takes those chances? Do you think it's the same thing, that she doesn't think anything bad's going to happen? Okay, so if I can convince you, all of you, that something bad could happen, do you think that would go a long way to at least influencing the way you drive? We'll try it. I never got to meet Andrew, but I met his best friend, Julian. I guess it's not too far from here. They were on the baseball team together, the football team together. One of them was the captain of one team, one was the captain of the other team. And when I met Julian, he told me that each and every day he has to live with the fact that he killed his best friend. Julian was driving, he was texting his girlfriend, and he flipped the car over. Andrew, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, was ejected, and he's dead. And I think about it today, and I think about what would have happened if Andrew had asked his friend, like some of you have suggested, hey, let me text for you. Or if Andrew had said, well, you know, it's not really safe. Why don't we pull over to the side of the road? Andrew would be here. He'd get to live his dreams, graduate high school, go on to school, whatever he wants to do. And Julian wouldn't have to think every single day that he killed his best friend. Julian avoided jail. He won't have a license for 15 years. He had to pay a substantial fine. He has to do community service. I met him when he was doing a talk, actually last year up in Seacon, or down in Seacon, Massachusetts, at a distracted driving summit. And if you ask him, he'll say the worst thing isn't that he won't have his license, the fine, the community service. The worst thing is seeing his best friend's parents and knowing that he's caused them so much pain. So it can happen to all of us. So if he had spoken up, if Andrew had spoken up, maybe things would be different. That's why I want to talk to you about that. So this is the way I look at the choice. Sit there when someone drives you distracted. Sit there, hope nothing bad happens, or speak up. Take a chance and speak up, and maybe you can change the way they drive. Protect yourself, protect them, and maybe the next time they drive, they'll think about it differently. So as I go along, I can, well, let's play this video first.
What are you doing? You can't text and drive.
It's not texting, changing music. It's not like it's that.
But it's distracting. What else is distracting but not illegal? Yes! Keep the level. Nice shot. Well, remember, just because they're not illegal doesn't mean they're safe.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't do any of those things.
Still got cilantro in my teeth.
So 2 points to this. Just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it's dangerous. It's illegal to text in Massachusetts. If you told me that texting was the only thing that is really dangerous, I'd look at you and I'd say, my daughter was killed by a 58-year-old man who was just reaching for his GPS. Doesn't matter to me that he wasn't texting. It certainly doesn't matter to Casey. So that's the first part. The other part of it is, one friend took a chance and he said, hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't be changing your music, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. And yet, by the end of the conversation, they were talking about it. That's what we hope you'll do. If we want to change the culture of driving, we want people to think that it should be accepted when you get in a car that someone's going to drive you safe. The last school I was at, someone said, you know, it's a sign of respect. If I get into the front seat and my driver decides they're going to text and they're not going to pay attention to the road, that's sort of disrespecting me. I don't know. What do you think about that? Does that make sense? Yeah, disrespecting me. Okay. So I do this so often, I can just kind of tell who the lunatic, crazy, distracted drivers are. And I'm going to pull one of those people up here in front of everybody to do a little role play, to do a little skit. In front of everyone. And you know what? It's not going to be you. Is that okay? Okay, it's not going to be you. Okay. Who's this tall guy in the suit back there? Who is that? Who's that? Can I get you one of those chairs up on the stage? All right. So you're a lunatic, crazy, distracted driver. That's what I've heard. I also heard that your daughter is here today. Is that correct? Where's Mr. Tucci's daughter? She's in 11th grade. Did you guys know that?
No, I
Come on down here. Come on down here. Now, they can have this mic, right? All right, so what we're going to do, get a little closer to him. He's dropping everything here. Look at this guy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stand here and I'm going to kind of hold the mic for Mr. Tucci so we can hear him, because I think he's going to have his hands full. And then will you do your best to speak into the mic?
All right.
Okay, so let's start. Mr. Tucci, would you tell us where you're taking your daughter on this trip?
We're going to be going to, we're going to go to a practice today. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds like a fun time after school, right?
Yeah, of course.
Great. Look forward to taking you there, man.
Seems like quite a great father-daughter relationship, wouldn't you say? All right, so I'm just going to take it from here and let's just see what happens there, Dad.
So, Maddie, how was school today? You have a good time?
Oh yeah, it was really good. We did a lot of math today.
Really? What'd you say there? I didn't catch it. I was kind of on the phone.
Can you put your phone down? We're driving to practice.
Just one thing, I can multitask. I'm the assistant principal at Memphis High School.
Dad, there are like other drivers here. Like, can we just like do it for them, please?
Maddie, you know, I don't know if you ever know, but your dad, you know, he has some pretty good hand-eye coordination, you know?
How about I text for you?
Did I tell you that yesterday we beat Dr. Perler in ping pong 21-5? That's the type of hand-eye coordination I have. I can drive and text and still take you to practice too as well.
But I can also text way faster than you because I'm way younger than you.
Maddie, let's focus on taking you to practice. You know, I don't want to get into this type of battle. Tell me about your school day today.
All right, I guess. So, physics, we learned a lot of physics stuff. It was a busy day. Can I just text for you? Like, it would be way easier on me.
Well, you know what? I take people's cell phones all day and you know, make sure they don't have them in school. I just feel like I need to touch one.
Hey, Dad, don't you care about me?
Maddie, believe me, I can text and I can drive. Did I tell you that I play professional baseball? Come on,
I'll just take the phone since you seem to care about me, and then we'll get to practice and everything will be good.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. So, hopefully, when you do this with friends or parents, you won't have somebody who's as obstinate and pig-headed as Mr. Tucci. Actually, we appreciate him being such a good sport about this, and Maddie as well. So, this is what we kind of suggest that you can do. This is taken from drug and alcohol bystander intervention. Basically, we want to just, if you're in that situation, again, your choice is, if you think you're going to be criticizing your driver and you go into it that way, you're not likely to speak up. If you think that you're doing something because you care about your driver, you care about yourself, you're more likely to speak up. Acknowledge the behavior. Hey, I see that when you're texting, your car is drifting out of your lane. We're not being confrontational. I'm not saying be confrontational. You don't want to say to your driver anything like, you know, you're a stupid idiot, you're going to kill us, because that's a non-starter. You want to talk about how you feel. I know you guys have heard time and time again, trust your instincts. If you're in a situation and you're a little nervous about it, get out of it, trust your instincts. If you're in the front seat of a car, your driver's texting, they're playing around, they're not looking at the road, they're going over the center line, you've got a reason to be concerned. Your age group, distracted driving is now killing more of you than drunk driving in many areas of the country. Distracted driving is more likely to cause your death or a serious injury than drunk driving. Your generation seems to have gotten it with the drunk driving message, but you're going to have to help us learn the distracted driving message. So this is what we're talking about. So we're acknowledging it. We're acknowledging it. We're just making factual statements, and we're not being confrontational. We're talking about how we feel. I statements. I'm a little nervous. It scares me. The most important thing is what we want to do is we want to share responsibility for getting there safely with our driver. Be an active participant. When you're in the front seat, you can help your driver drive safer. And that's a responsibility that we hope that you'll undertake. So, how many of you think that you might try this the next time? Let me see some hands. The next time you're in a car, you might speak up and you might give it a shot. All right, great, great. We don't guarantee it'll work, but it has shown some promise and people are talking about it. You know, when we're reluctant to speak up because we think we might be criticizing the driver, what we're really doing is we're projecting and saying, oh, the driver's going to be angry at me. It's their car. You know, who am I to say something? Maybe some of you aren't even driving, and you say, well, I'm not even a driver. You don't have to be a driver to know that it's dangerous if someone's going in and out of their lane. So we anticipate the worst response from the driver. Anticipate that maybe there'll be a positive response. Maybe the driver will say, oh yeah, guy, take my cell phone. That's really nice of you. They'll think that you care about it. Sometimes that works well with moms and dads as well. I go around the country and I meet people like us who've lost loved ones to distracted driving. Unfortunately, it happens all the time. What's your favorite color? Purple? Red? Blue? Blue? What the moms and dads do, those children have been killed by distracted driving, what they do is they have wristbands. And they give me wristbands to remember their children. On this wrist, these are all the ones from the girls. I got these from their moms and dads, and their girls are dead. On this one, I have boys. Same thing, some of them were killed by other people, some of them have caused their own deaths. These are the ones from the boys. Some of the moms and dads, they ask me, again, not in a big assembly, but if we talk privately, they ask me, do you think my son or daughter was texting at the time they died because they saw me do it? It's the hardest thing for me. Because there's a part of me that thinks that it might be true. We learn from our moms and dads. But I can't tell a mom who's grieving the loss of her son or daughter, yes, I think perhaps your son or daughter took a chance driving because they saw you do that. That's cruel. I couldn't do that. I've also had 19, 20-year-olds ask me the same question about their little brothers and sisters. How many of you have little brothers and sisters? Yeah, lots of you. You know they're watching them, right? They're imitating you. They're pain in the neck sometimes, but they're imitating you. Are you driving it? So I won't ask you about your driving, I'll leave you alone. If you take a chance and you're texting, you're sending a message to your little brother or sister that it's okay to do it. What you need to do, because your moms and dads are driving distracted, is you need to send a message to your little brothers and sisters that it's not okay to drive distracted. I don't drive distracted. That's the message you want to send to them, so that when they get their licenses, they'll know to drive like you, not like their moms and dads. And that's something that you can do, and you can keep yourself safe, and you can keep your little brothers and sisters safe. X was crossing the street. His sister was holding his hand. A 22-year-old was texting. She literally ripped him out of his sister's hand, dragged him under her car, and he's now paralyzed from the chest down. He can't even breathe on his own. He needs a machine to help him breathe. A 22-year-old. And the stories go on and on and on. Now I'm going to turn this over to Emily Stein, who actually lives in Medford. And Emily is going to talk to you a little bit. Emily's a nurse, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about distracted driving. And she's also going to tell you her story as we go along.
So does anyone want to offer a reason why we text? We know it's illegal. It's illegal for people under 18. We all know that. Your fines are even bigger. Why do we do it? Yes.
Because we can't wait.
professional, I feel the same way. I feel like I need to answer the phone. I need to get back to my thoughts. My friends are waiting. But really, does it matter? Is it that important that you might not make it home because you look down to respond to a text? As well as, with Joel, and when I've done some presentations, I've met people too who have killed someone. And the most effective thing I heard was a guy who killed 2 fathers out in Utah. And he said, I don't even remember what I texted. It was that unimportant. And when you look through all the texts you sent throughout the day, are they really that important? It's okay, LOL, see you later. Nothing is important as your life and getting home safely, your passenger's life, and everybody on the road around you. So, these are the things we hear, and these are the things that we say in our head. I'm a good driver, I'm a safe driver. My life is busy, I remember, I feel like I haven't been out of high school for that long. I remember how busy it is. You have so many due dates. You have so many things going on in your head. Life is busy. And driving is unfortunately seen as this empty time that we can fill. It's free time, Sometimes it's even a little boring. But when I was in high school, my biggest fear was hitting a dog. It was running over a cat. Not in my wildest dreams did I think, or wildest nightmare, did I think that it could be a person. It could be a kid running out the road. When you take driver's lessons, when your parents are teaching you, you hear about scanning the road. You're scanning the road to make sure nothing is running out. But if you're looking down for a second, you're not going to see a kid running out. You're not going to see an elderly person coming into the street. So that's why it's so important to have your mind on the road, your eyes on the road, and be able to react. So you have the other excuses. I have to, I'm busy, everybody's doing it. Nothing bad will happen. We all think nothing bad will happen. And it's just for a few seconds. So I'm going to play you a video which explains why I'm here. Does anyone want to take a guess why it's called 2 signs of distracted driving? Some people say driver passenger. That can be true. In this case, there wasn't a passenger. Anybody else want to take a guess? The people around you. So you'll see this is an example where it involved a driver and then somebody else who was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I wasn't texting, I wasn't using a cell phone, but I still killed someone. I was 17, prom was coming up, I was ready to leave high school, I was excited about the summer and going off to college.
My mom and dad were both teachers and they met in elementary school when they were teaching. People would describe him as a gentle person. He was my dad. He was a great dad. He was the greatest dad I could have had.
I was on my way back from my clarinet lesson. I was hungry, so I was looking at my GPS.
All throughout high school, he was there for me every step of the way. He coached me in sports. He was there for every single one of my games.
My car drifted into the breakdown lane on the side of the highway, and I hit a man and I killed him. Responsible.
I was 6 months pregnant when my dad died. I knew he was going to be such a fantastic grandfather. And when she smiled for the first time, he wasn't there to share it with.
When I was driving, I had a choice. I could have pulled over to the side of the road just a few seconds. It changes everything. It's just hard.
I think the hardest part has been raising a baby and knowing that he wasn't there to celebrate those beautiful moments.
I think about my friends, I think about the choices they make. They think it's not gonna happen to them.
My mom has this incredible grandchild that she can't share with her husband. she doesn't have that partner.
Learning that he had a family, that he had a daughter that was about to have his first grandchild, that he was about to be a grandfather, and I took that away from them. I caused his death.
I think of all the things that my dad has taught me and about the love that we had as a family.
Distracted driving is a choice, and it's a selfish one to make.
So watching this today is a little harder for me because my daughter's here. And this is the first time that she's seen this presentation and seen this video. And it's so hard to tell her where Progressa is. He was a general contractor. I was always on the job site with him after school. There are pictures of me as a 6-year-old on the roof with him. He wanted me to be a part of his life. I was his secretary when I was little. And I knew all the people who worked with him, all his subcontractors, and he really brought me into his life just as much as he wanted to be a part of my life. And it was hard in the beginning to play this, to not play the what if game. You know, what if my dad had left to work that day 2 minutes earlier? What if he'd left 1 minute later, 30 seconds later? What if I wasn't pregnant and he wasn't on this job site? You know, it goes on and on and on, but you can't play the what if game. It happened. I'm sure Kate plays it every single day. What if I hadn't programmed my GPS while I was driving? What if I hadn't looked down? Her life has changed forever. Sometimes when we go into high schools, we ask, you know, did you guys go back to school? This was right before prom. This was April 7th. It will be 4 years this coming year. And, you know, we ask them, would you go back to school? Would you go to prom? And most people say no. Like, how can you go back knowing you did this? And of course, it wasn't her intention to go out that day, leave her home, and kill someone. But it was her choice, and it is all about making choices. So I wrote Kate a letter. Our world is small, and she happened to go to the same high school that I did. She had the same teachers that I had 10 years prior. And I wrote her a letter not knowing what had caused this crash, what had caused my dad's death, except that she hit him. And said, please graduate high school, focus on your future, but talk about what happened. Talk about what you did so other people can learn from it. And she is. She's speaking in New York, and I feel like the issue of forgiving and the issue of moving on, I don't know where I am in that process, but the fact that that she's also talking in front of people to try to prevent future deaths, it makes all the difference. And she could have been, this could have happened to any one of us. I was thinking, you know, how many people are out there looking at their phones, looking down, eating, not looking at the road? That could have been me. That could have been my parents who did that. That could have been my friend. So I couldn't look at her and say, you're a bad person, or you deserve to go to jail, or you deserve this, this, and this, because it could have been any of us who killed my dad. So going back to that list of, I'm busy, I'm a good multitasker, I'm a good driver, do those sound like good excuses? No. When it's your life, it's someone else's life, it's not worth it. So, how many people are thinking of changing the way they drive? And how many people are thinking of going home and talking to your parents? Because if you're a parent, if you lost a parent, I can't even tell you how my day-to-day life has changed. And if they lost you, you know, it's a family agreement we'll talk to you about. So we're just going to send you home with a family agreement that you can talk talk to your parents, talk to your families about, talk to your friends about. Because I can't bring my dad back. Joel and Diane can't bring Casey back, but what we can do is just try to prevent any more tragic and senseless deaths due to distracted driving. So just a couple things you can do. What I do is I put my phone on silent because even though I lost my dad, the temptation is still there. You know, if I hear the ding or the ping or the little thing saying I have a text or email, I might still be tempted to answer it. So I just put it on silent, put my phone in the back seat, and I say, I'm going to distract. So it's possible. You actually are a much better driver because of it. And then you can look around you and go, oh my God, look at all these other distracted drivers. They're not looking. So if you focus on your driving, you kind of get a little scared knowing everybody around you is distracted. And then another thing I like to do is you know, call my husband, call a friend and say, I'm leaving now, I'll see you in 20 minutes. That way they know I'm going to be driving, I'm not going to be answering the phone. And then if you absolutely have to, pull over to a safe location. If you have to answer a call or make a call, let your parents know that you are safe, you're coming home to stop calling you. All right, I'll just start this video. This is a nice view time. All right, I'll try to find the job.
You know, I listen to Emily, and then I look at Evie over there, and how would any of you like to one day say that the reason why you'll never know your grandfather is because I want to look at a text? You guys have been so interactive, I have to kind of speed through a lot of this. I'll just do this really quickly. This is a study that was done. They're measuring scanning, side-to-side scanning. You can see the little cameras on the dashboard there below the windshield. And on the left, it's a person who's not having a cell phone conversation, and it's a Bluetooth conversation. On the right is someone who has a Bluetooth conversation. What it represents is our brain is struggling with all the input, so it transfers resources away from the visual area of the field of our brain to the cognitive to deal with the cell phone conversation. On the right, they call it tunnel vision. And we don't scan the same way, even if it's a hands-free cell phone conversation. And then there's many studies that show that just putting down the phone going Bluetooth is no safer because you're cognitively distracted. And the voice-to-text features that are now in cars, they're not very good. They make mistakes, so we don't really just do it with our voice. We actually look down and we think about it, and it takes us longer, so they've proven not to be safe as well. You can go on Mythbusters, and you can see, Mythbusters wanted to see if someone who was talking on their cell phone, hands-free, was impaired to the level of a driver who was 0.08, as some scientific studies have shown. And Mythbusters actually confirmed that. This next one, that again, I apologize, I can't show. It's a sister who is texting her younger sister. One sister's home safe, the other sister's driving. The older sister knew her sister was driving. As the younger sister is reading the text, she flips her truck and she's dead. The big sister thinks about it. So if you find out that someone's driving, what are you going to do? Now, if it's a phone call, it's easy, you can answer them. If you're texting, maybe not so easy, but you want to think about what's going on there. You want to think about that a little bit in terms of your responsibility to them. This next video that I'm going to show is one involving our family, and then we'll talk about that a little bit.
This is a face of distracted driving. This is Casey Feldman. Casey was a daughter, granddaughter, sister, niece, cousin, and friend. She was kind, caring, had a great sense of humor, lived life to its fullest, and was loved by many.
She was so funny and so vibrant and so beautiful in every way. She was smart, she was intelligent, she had goals for herself, she was really grounded, and she was someone that you knew would grow up to be somebody special, somebody important to other people.
Casey's life ended on July 17, 2009. She was struck and killed by a distracted driver while she was crossing the street in a crosswalk. He had taken his eyes off the road for just a few seconds.
It was the first time that I ever lost somebody, a friend, and someone my age. And it made me realize that that could have easily been me, that could have been my sister, it could have been anybody.
Before Casey's accident, I drove distracted, and I would let people who were driving me be distracted. In high school, rushing around to activities, I'd be eating in the car, and doing makeup in the car. I actually wrote a speech in the car once.
I was changing the radio station while backing out of a parking spot, and I hit a utility pole.
I would take my eyes off the road to do makeup, to text message, to use my phone.
I think definitely as a teenager, when you're first driving, you do feel invincible, and driving can become a secondary task to whatever you're doing.
You're basically operating a weapon. I think that people need to realize that they're operating something that has the power to change like 1,000 lives.
No matter what it is you're trying to do in the car, it's not worth it.
When you're driving, it's not a secondary task, it is the only task you should be doing.
We must learn from Casey's death that as young people, we are not invincible.
And we learned that it just doesn't happen to other people, it happened to Casey, someone that we love and miss very much.
I think of Casey lying on the roadway after her accident, and when the police officer asked her how it occurred, she said, "I want my mom." And I was there to comfort her in those last moments. What will it take for us to change the way we drive?
I've stopped having meals in the car. I put one CD in and I just don't change it.
I make sure my purse is in the back seat now, my phone is in the back seat.
If I'm driving, that's the only thing I'm doing.
This is the picture I have in my car of Casey to remind me to keep my eyes and mind on the road. You could do the same with a picture of somebody that you love and care about.
You're going to get this family safe driving agreement and courtesy of the Massachusetts Academy of Trial Attorneys. If you go home and you have a parent, a guardian, a grandparent sign it, you sign it. Even if you're not driving, they'll do a random drawing and they'll give out $25 gift cards. We want you to talk it over with mom and dad. 1988-2009. That dash, in some sense, signifies the sum and substance, the totality of our daughter's life. Her book is closed. She's dead. Each and every person in this room, our books are open. Each and every person in this room is writing their story. Casey's story is closed. We tell her story, but she's not writing any new chapters in it. Each and every one of you is writing your own stories. And we hope that they're going to be long, happy stories. We hope that there'll also be stories that'll make a difference. Emily talked about what if. What if her dad had left a little sooner or later? I'll do this one for you. What if each and every one of you cared about each other? What if each and every one of you decided you were going to drive safely? What if each and every one of you would speak up? Speak up when you see someone driving distracted. Just the way you would speak up if you saw someone bullying someone, or you wanted to be a friend to someone. That's the what if that I want to think about, something that you can concentrate on. So as you're writing your books, you're completing your lives, make a difference. Make a difference for yourselves, your family, so that you're not like us and thinking about who's lost and who's gone. Thank you so much. It's been great to be here. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. One more round of applause, please, for all our speakers.